Hi there, Mark Lieber, A3G Munitions. I am here in the shop today about to do a video on the brand new product from Rollsizer.com. It actually isn't out yet. This is a pre-release version. You might have seen it at SHOT Show if you were there. It is the Manual Decapper. It's for those of you who don't want to spend $1,500 on an automated one just because you don't need the capacity that offers. This one is manually operated by your right or your left hand, and it works really well. So for those of you with low brass processing needs, this would be perfect. So stay tuned. We'll get this out of the box, get it on the bench, and I'll give you a little taste of what it is. All right, let's take a look, see what's in this box. Styrofoam, obviously, to keep it safe. Got our tubing. We've got our FW Arms die. Now, those of you who have been paying attention lately realize that Dylan has bought the intellectual property of FW Arms. So the die you get for the foreseeable future will be an FW Arms die. At some point, those will be transitioned to Dylan. They'll still be Rollsizer branded, but they will be most likely blue instead of gold. Let's see what else we have in here. All right, here's the unit itself, and we have a handle. All right, this is the unit. Pretty small, pretty compact. As you can see on the underside, we have our primer exit tube and our case exit tube. So you would take a couple pieces of vinyl. You'd actually trim the vinyl. This is 2 pieces of vinyl. What I suggest is take the piece that doesn't have the zip tie or the Dylan case feed mount on it, and cut that into a couple of pieces. I would first figure out where you're going to mount it. Those will actually need to feed into a bucket, about one or something to take care of your trash, spent primers, and your brass. So, as you can see, it comes basically just like you see here. This handle is going to screw into place and the washer goes on the handle side. It does not go on the bolt side or on the nut side. And I'm going to turn it sideways so the washer centers there. Anyway, you get the drift. I'll tighten that later. The other piece to note is it comes preset at this angle. Now, so here's the up position. You're grabbing, you fed the case forward. Here's the down position. The case is being deprimed. You may want to adjust where this handle sits and how it works. To do that, here are 6 Allen-headed screws. They will be metric. They're probably M3s. My guess is M3s or M3.5s for an Allen key. You can unscrew all 6 of those. I'm sorry, there's only 5. I can't count upside down. Undo those, and you can rotate this to align with the holes again and position this handle wherever you want. I would also suggest you either screw it down to a piece of wood, and a larger piece of wood, and place that on your bench so it's rigid, or just screw it to the bench. Now, in my case, I have these wonderfully these best invention ever made, these little quick clamps, and I'm just going to clamp it to my bench here. Get a couple of those. Now if you are going to clamp it to the bench, make sure you don't interfere with the workings. Okay? Piece of cake. Now, the other thing, unclamp it for this piece. On this side, we have, let me get something to point with. On this side, you see this boss and this set screw with a lock nut on it. This controls the length of the return motion, and the one on the bottom, one on the bottom controls the forward. Okay, so you may want to adjust that if you're going to do a rifle case. If you're doing 9mm, this is set up probably just perfect for what you need. However, if you're going to do 308, or if you're going to do something in a longer case, you may want to adjust certainly the backwards throw. All right, the unit is secured to the bench, relatively speaking, with a clamp. Let's talk about drop tubes. This is where your drop tube goes. The drop tube, there's 4 drop tubes. There's 4 drop tubes for any Rollsizer.com device, whether it be a Rollsizer or a decapper. There are the large ones, which have a pretty big hole in them, and there are the small ones, which have a pretty small hole in them. They're thicker. The outside diameter, the distance between the ID and the OD is much thicker, and I've got mine labeled, obviously. So the chamfered edge is the top on the small ones. The large ones are not chamfered because they're so narrow anyway. And on your rifle drop tubes, you have a cutout window, small rifle, large rifle. Okay, the window is for the neck and the rest of the case to come through, to come out of the drop tube. So when we put our drop tube in, we're going to make sure we have it oriented to the top. Again, the chamfer goes at the top, or chamfer, or however you guys want to say that. We tighten our thumb screw, and the way we set this, drop my case in here. Actually, I'm going to put it down a little farther so my case doesn't go flying. We drop it in. We set the drop tube to where it's right above the jaws in the case of a 9mm, because a 9mm is shorter than the height of the shield on the jaws. If this were a 223 or a 357 Magnum, we will take that case out, get my trusty tweezers. In the case of something taller, then we are going to set the drop tube so it is just a rim's length. A rim's length being, this is a rim from the extractor groove, from the bottom of the case to the top of the extractor groove is what I'm calling a rim's length. You want to be a rim's length above the case that's in there. Okay, pretty simple. Take that out. All right. Again, so simple drop tube goes in. We on a short case, just right above the shield on the jaws. On a normal case, a rim's length above. Let's talk about the drop tube. Obviously, this is for your Dillon case feeder. We also make them for Mark 7 case feeders. This is the case, or the end that goes on the drop tube. It should be a snug fit just like that. The zip tie basically takes the OD inside diameter of this tube and it shrinks it so that as the cases come down, they straighten out so that they drop straight in the tube and don't get hung up on the lip. Now, you've probably seen on the website, or you've seen from your friends who have them, I've got these case collators, which basically they snugly fit on the top of your drop tube. Then you take a piece of the hose without the zip tie, it snugly fits in there, and now you're good to go. Now you don't need the zip tie. So what that means is if you're going from 9mm to 45 or something where the zip tie dimensions matter, that alleviates that problem. My case collator is chamfered inside and drives everything right into the center, and you can see it's labeled top, so anybody can put it together. Anyway, that's our drop tube set up. I'm going to take the drop tube out for now because we're going to set the die. I'm going to show you how to set the die the right way, whether it be for a manual or a DC decapper. So stand by. I'm going to move the camera and we will go on with the next section. All right, folks, I am back. The camera's repositioned, and before we start putting the die in and taking care of the rest of the stuff, I want to quickly go over setting the screws, the stop screws. Based on experience, I know that stop screw is going to actually have to go in. So I'm simply going to take a 10 millimeter. I'm going to loosen the lock nut. I'm going to unscrew it until it is just ever so slightly out of the boss. And I'm going to tighten it up. Don't have to get Herculean on this, just snug it. That's good. The top is going to be fine for 9 millimeters, so that's what we're working with. I'm going to leave it there. The other thing we're going to take a look at, and this is relevant not only to this Rollsizer, but it's relevant to other Rollsizers as well. I'm sorry, I keep saying Rollsizer. I mean decapper. It's relevant to this decapper, but it's also relevant to its big brother, the powered or the DC model. Now, what you want to adjust, if you need to adjust the movement of the case and how far it moves in, this is the linkage we play with. We should never need to play with this linkage here, okay? So, this is the linkage we're going to adjust, and the adjustment, if you look over here, in the all the way forward position, the case pusher should be just about even with these edges here. So it needs to come forward a little bit. So to do that, we use a 4 millimeter Allen key, and we're going to loosen this. It's a captured nut on the other side. Don't lose that. We're going to loosen that up. Remember, there's a washer between. This is how it comes off. Washer, screw goes through the eyelet and then into a washer. Don't lose the washer, and don't forget to put it back. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our trusty crescent wrench. We're going to loosen this. We want the Zerk fitting to stay on top, so if we ever need to lubricate it, it's easy to do. So I'm going to put 1 turn on it. You know what? I'm going to put 2 turns on it. No, I'm going to put 1 turn on it. And I'm going to tighten it back up. And again, you don't have to go crazy with the tightness of that. Get my washer back. Get my nut back. Pull the assembly forward and screw it back on. This is how you adjust any of the decappers, manual or DC. That does not need to be that tight, folks. Okay, now, if we come back over here and look, we can see that the case pusher goes almost to the very end of this diamond shape in the jaws. That diamond shape is where the case initially sits to be decapped, okay? So that's how you do an adjustment. You do not take off this bottom piece, and you do not go crazy tightening these things up. You only have to adjust one side. You want the Zerk fitting to stay on top. Remember that. That is adjusting your decapper 101. So on this manual unit, we know that's set right. We know we've given it all the bottom throw that we're going to need. So we're ready to put the die in and continue on. So I'm going to secure it to the bench, and I'll be right back. All right, we're back, and I'm going to show you how to set up the actual decapping die without causing a problem. Here I've got a piece of decap 9mm. It's cleaned and it's decapped. I'm going to drop that into the spot where it goes to be decapped. Okay, I'm going to put the assembly up again with a DC or a manual. We're going to put it up, and we're going to screw it in just to get it started. That's all we're going to do in the up position. We want to put the unit all the way down, whether it be a DC or a manual. Again, if it's a DC, cycle the motor till this assembly is all the way at the bottom. Your die shouldn't be anywhere close to any of the items in here, or any of the mechanicals. Then we're going to make sure our lock nut is all the way up. There's 2 nuts. The top one secures the body. The bottom one is a lock nut. Okay, it should be loose, but just snug it up to the top. We're going to roll this down. You'll feel the flare, the flange, hit the case and the jaws, and you'll keep going. You may end up, depending on the which version of the die you have, you may actually end up going all the way down. You see the critical piece, this is still the shuttle. This is still the piece that moves up and down. What you don't want is this die body hitting anything that's rigid, okay? The shuttle, we're still decreasing the distance in the shuttle, and I can feel it. I can feel it going through the primer hole. Obviously, you can't feel it, but I can feel it going through the primer hole where the old primer existed, and I'm going to be able to take it all the way down. Some of you, especially the ones with the early dies, may go all the way until you feel resistance. What that means is your priming rod. Your priming rod, the inside of the case is hitting this beveled part where it gets bigger. In that case, you stop, back it off a half a turn or a full turn, and you're good. Tighten the locking ring and don't go crazy with the tightness. And then we're going to test it. We're going to grab our tweezers, get our piece of sample brass out. All right, we're going to get another piece of 9mm that does have a primer in it. Let's set it in there. All right, somewhere it came out. All right, we're going to get a piece of brass. It's primed. We're going to put it in. We're not going to really worry about the primer. You can see the primer has fallen out with all the debris. So we've got it set up right. If the primer didn't fall out, we would need to make an adjustment to the die. So that is setting up the decapper and the decapping die appropriately. And for those of you who just want to see it happen, we'll put in our drop tube, tighten it up. We'll take another piece of brass, again primed. We'll drop it in here, simulating. Okay, so we've deprimed. Now, keep in mind, folks, you have to have another case to push this case out of the system. So if you just have one case in there, the case will sit there all day. So the second case is now picked up. As it pushes forward, it pushes the first case out into the front tube and gets the second case ready to decap. And there's the primer. All right? Pretty simple. Once you get it set up right, it's very simple. It's really very simple to set up. You just have got to pay attention to the die hitting something when you set it up that is not meant to be moved. So that is the manual decapper. Again, as long as you, as quickly as you can do that, or your son or your daughter can do that, you can decap brass. All right, folks, I hope this has helped. This obviously was an overview of the manual decapper. It'll decap brass as fast as you want to do that, and it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. You've got a son or daughter who helps you reload or enjoys shooting with you, they can do this part. Again, Rollsizer case collator from A3G Munitions. Got those on the website. And once again, the decapping die you get in the initial products will most likely be the gold FW Arms ones. At some point, we'll be transitioning to the blue Dillon ones, and it's the same guts inside. So that's nothing to worry about. If you have questions, you can always reach me at a3gmunitions.com. Mark at a3gmunitions.com. Hit our website. If you have any questions, you can certainly email me. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic day. Hope to see you on the range.